Okay, good afternoon, everybody. All right, so third marking period, okay? It is a chance for some of you to start fresh, to learn from the past, and to move forward, okay? We're forgetting about everything. We are moving on. Third marking period, new unit of the nervous system, okay? Today's a very important day for everyone to be here, so I'm glad that you're all here. It's also a really important day, the next couple classes, to really listen and really take good notes. And if you didn't listen to me last marking period about how important it is to just listen and write a few things down when I ask you to, hopefully you learn from that if you didn't do that, and you can start fresh now to be able to just get those things in so that you have the information that you need, so that you have that study guide and you have that info. And it just honestly makes it easy for you moving forward. And for those of you that can think about maybe you didn't do the best job last marking period, or you didn't listen and take those notes, and then you kind of bombed the test, or you were kind of lost and you missed assignments and you were a little unorganized, you learn that staying organized in my class is extremely important to the success for you in this class, okay? Having said that, we are going to be learning about the nervous system. The nervous system is a system in your body that deals with the brain, the spinal cord, and all the neurons and nerves that happen in your body. And it is the way for your body to communicate with your brain and for your brain to communicate with the rest of your body. And it is literally how everything happens in your body, whether it's physical movement that we have control over, or it's the other things that you don't have to think about, like your breathing, like your heartbeat, like your gastrointestines, like your organs getting enough blood. All of that stuff occurs within the nervous system and the communication that happens within your body and your brain. So before getting started on that, we will be doing some like fun little lateral thinking problems where it's pretty much different questions that I'm going to ask you to think outside of the box to try and figure out. So what I'm going to ask you to do, if you don't already have your notes out, you should have your notes out. So take out, a blank sheet of your notes, and you're going to try this out. And George, you're right in front of me, so you really should. I'm watching you here. So let's get out a piece of paper and a pen. Let's get out a piece of paper and a pen. And I'm going to share something with you guys. And I'm going to ask you guys to try and copy this right here. Try and draw that without lifting your pen or pencil and without tracing over a line that you already made. That's key. So see if you can do it. You might mess up 1 or 2 times. You can try it again. So try and draw that without lifting your pen or your pencil, and you cannot trace over a line that you already made. This is called a lateral thinking problem or question. See if you can do it. Take a couple tries. Now, there are more than one way of doing this. There's more than one way in doing it. I'm a professional, so this is how I do it. Boom! That's why they pay me the big bucks. All right. There are other ways of doing it. Was anybody able to do it without on your first try? Was anyone able to do it on your first try? Of course you were, George, because you're watching me, because he's a cheater. No, anyone able to do it a different way than I did, maybe? Anyone? Guys, this is only fun when you speak. This is a little awkward when you don't speak. So let's try and get the communication going. And I do not mean typing in a chat. All right. Let's try and get communication going. Speaking words, language of English would be nice for us to kind of be on the same page here. Okay. All right. So that's an example of a few things that we will be doing this unit. There's going to be harder questions. There's going to be easier questions. There's going to be different solving different mystery problems as well. okay, called lateral thinking. The next part, we are going to be talking about the nervous system, and there's many different parts to the nervous system. Can you mute that? I hear myself talking on her phone. All right. Oh yeah, you can put, yeah, there you go. Just mute it because I'm right here. So there's many different parts to the nervous system. And now's the time where I'm going to share my screen to show you guys my little notepad, okay? And I would definitely use your notes now to kind of write this down. The nervous system has two major parts to the nervous system. The first is the CNS. Wow, sorry guys, I'm like losing it here. All right, the CNS. The CNS stands for the central, wow, nervous system. And if I ever do NS, that means nervous system, okay? CNS, central nervous system. Now, think of the word central. Think of the word central. Where, what is central? And think about your body. What does that remind you of? Central, what would be the central of your body? George.
Like brain.
What'd you say? Like your core?
Yeah,
Something like that? I'm gonna say no, but good try. Someone said it in the Zoom. Who was that?
Mahir.
Okay, Mahir, what did you say?
I said the brain.
The brain. So your CNS, your central nervous system, is also made up of two parts, the brain and the spinal cord. Okay. So if you notice, I'm gonna write this in a way where it kind of comes out like a tree-like structure so that all the parts are there and you kind of see where everything comes from. This is gonna be a really good outline for you guys when you're studying or when you're going over and reviewing any notes, or when you're doing other assignments and you kind of need some help. This is a really, really great little guide, little like outline, I would say, okay? Now, the other main part of the nervous system is known as the PNS. And if you notice, I had to say that really slow. The reason why I have to say that really slow is we get more and more freshmen in this class, and they think it's really funny when you say that fast. PNS. See, George is laughing. You see, that's how I know, George, right? George. So PNS sounds like penis, and that's why he's laughing, because he thinks it's so funny. So that's why I have to say P, pause, and S. All right. So the P and S is short for the peripheral nervous, and I'm going to write NS, nervous system. Okay. Peripheral nervous system. Now think of the word peripheral. Where have you guys ever heard that before? Peripheral. Oh, so George is smart too, okay? He pointed to his eyes. Vision, okay? You've heard of peripheral vision. So, I'm staring at Brianna right now. Awkward, right? I'm staring at her, but just because I'm looking at her doesn't mean that I can't see Georgie over here, and I can't see the board or the clock or the door or the backboard, right? You can still see things. That's known as your peripheral vision, because just because you're focused on one thing doesn't mean you can't see everything else. So the peripheral nervous system is everything else. And we're going to talk about that in a second. Oh, you got to put that over your nose, girlfriend, because you're gonna kill me here. Okay. Are you in this class? Skylar, right? Yeah, you're in this class. You have a late pass or?
No, I thought I had junior.
All right, clean that off though for me. Okay, so I'm going to take this information. I'm going to stop sharing. Today, we are going to focus solely on the peripheral nervous system. Okay, So we talked about the central nervous system, the CNS, and that's your brain and your spinal cord. And if you guys remember, the spinal cord is what the vertebrae, your backbones, are protecting. And it's literally like the highway that drives information from your brain to the rest of your body and from the rest of your body up to your brain. We're going to talk about the brain another day, but for today, we are going to be focusing on the peripheral nervous system. Are there any questions before we get into this? So as I talked about a couple minutes ago, peripheral is everything else. So the definition of this would be everything in the nervous system, remember NS, except for the brain and the spinal cord. So everyone's on Zoom right now. So, you know, if I say, hey, what's the definition of the peripheral nervous system? Well, it's right there. Very simple. And I'm telling you right now, that's a question on your test. There you go. You're welcome. All right. So why is it everything except for the brain and the spinal cord? Because we know, as we talked about a few minutes ago, the brain and the spinal cord is the central nervous system. And their peripheral is everything else except for the brain and the spinal cord. Now, in the peripheral nervous system, there are things called neurons. There are things called neurons, okay? Neurons are specialized cells. So they're the cells that make up the nervous system, okay? They're the cells that make up the nervous system. And they're special because they receive and make or conduct electrical, that's not how you spell it, impulses. I'm gonna pause there. Neurons are these cells that make up the nervous system. There's bundles of neurons, there's nerve bundles that are made up of neurons, and we have billions of them in our body, billions. And just in our brain alone, so many, all right? Electrical impulses, that sounds special. Think about it. In order for us to speak or pick up a pen to start writing or type, right? Or pick up our phone and text our friends, because let's face it, you guys don't talk to your friends on the phone anymore. You text, you Twitter, you Snapchat, you whatever, right? In order to do any of these movements that you have control over, your brain has to send a signal to that part of your body to move. And those signals are very simply called messages. So whenever I say electrical impulses, it's just a message or a signal that's going from your brain to somewhere in your body, or from somewhere in your body up to your brain. And it depends on the type of neuron that either goes up to your brain or down to the rest of your body. So there are two types of neurons. And remember what I said. That's not what I meant. So remember what I said. You take the time now to take these notes. You will not have to worry later on. However, if you don't, you are already on the first day of the third marking period digging yourself a deep hole that you're going to have to try and get out of later. All right? So there's two different types of neurons. All right? And I'm trying to be fancy here for you guys. The one type of neuron is known as sensory neurons. And the other are motor neurons. Easy enough. Now, impulses that Impulses travel through sensory neurons and go up to the brain. And I'm going to explain this. I'm going to give you guys examples. I'm going to explain it. If you guys have any questions, I'm here to answer, okay? This is just kind of an outline, and then we're going to kind of break it all down. So don't worry about anything, right? This is just the first day. So think of the word sensory, okay? What in that word sensory is a word that you recognize? Think about your body. Sensory. What's that word?
To feel something.
Okay, I heard feel. Yeah. What else is another sense? Huh? Taste. Good. What else? Feel, taste, touch. Well, that's feel.
Smell.
Smell,
Sight.
sight, hearing, right? Yeah, these are all senses. So how can you hear me right now? Well, I don't know. How can you feel the marker in your hand? Okay? Because in order to feel something, in order to hear something, in order to see something, a message or an impulse has to get sent through something to go up to your brain and say, hey, I feel this, right? Somebody punches you in the face. Hopefully that never happens. But if somebody hits you, how do you feel pain? You don't feel it until the message or that impulse goes through and up to your brain. And where does it go through? It goes through sensory neurons. So for example, you're listening to me speak right now. In order to hear me speak, the neurons sense the hearing or the auditory information. And that information gets sent through sensory neurons. Those impulses, that message gets sent through sensory neurons and up to your brain. All right? Someone touches your shoulder right here. All right? In order for you to feel that, and to you guys and all of us, it happens like this. Like you don't even realize that things have to go on for you to even feel it, because it's almost automatic, but it's not. It just happens that fast. That's how quickly these neurons send that information through. That's how fast it happens, because it's an electrical impulse. It's electric. Everything in our body is electric. It all happens that way. So someone touches your shoulder and you're like, what the hell? And you turn your neck around to see who the hell that is, who's bothering you, right? In order to feel it, the senses in the neurons of your shoulder sense that someone's touching you. That impulse or message, someone's touching you, travels through up the spinal cord and to your brain. Boom, now you feel it. Someone's touching you. Then your brain's like, what the hell? Who the hell is that? Who is touching me? Well, now your brain has to send messages from your brain down to the muscles in your neck so you can do this and turn your head and look. Now you guys are all probably going, man, that seems like a lot of like annoyance and a lot of work, because for me, if someone touches me, I turn my head and it happens like that. But this is literally what happens in your brain and your body that fast. So when your brain is now responding with another message to send to the rest of your body, like the muscles in your neck to turn your head, that travels through motor neurons. And I'm going to explain that again, just in case you guys are confused, okay? And it's very, very important to understand what we're talking about now, because this is kind of like the foundation of what we're going to continue to talk about. So if you don't understand sensory and motor, and you don't ask questions and you stay silent and you pretend like you know everything or you whatever, you're going to get confused later on. So let me just give you this example one more time, okay? And I'll give you a different example. You go outside, you live in a really dark house, okay? I don't know. And you open the door and it's really sunny out. So you open the door and it's really sunny out and you're not wearing sunglasses. What happens to your eyes? What do you do? What do? You squint. You go, whoa, the hell? It's sunny out. Okay? So that was your body reacting to the stimulus of the sun. So you walk outside and you're like, oh man, sometimes if it's really bright, it kind of hurts for a second, right? So your eyes sense that it's really bright. That message, it's really bright. The impulse, it's really bright. That electrical impulse gets sent through sensory neurons up to your brain. Now your brain is like, oh my God, it's really bright. This hurts my eyes. So your brain has to now respond with squinting your eyes. So how does it respond with squinting your eyes? Your brain sends a message down to the muscles around your eyes. And how does it send that message? It sends it through motor neurons that go from your brain down to the muscles around your eyes, and then you squint. Okay? Bunch of these examples that you can come up with. All right, I'll give you another example. You guys ever accidentally touch something hot and it kind of takes you like a couple seconds sometimes? Like you're like, what the hell? Jesus, that was hot. But sometimes you might have your hand on there for like 2 or 3 seconds before you realize that it's hot. Because with that sense of touch, it takes longer, just by a teeny bit, to get that message up to your brain. And then you feel, oh my God, that's really, really hot. And now the brain has to send a message through motor neurons down to the muscle in your arm to boom, move your hand off of the hot stove or whatever that is. Okay? Are there any questions there? We can't just stop there because that would just be too easy. People want to make things hard for you guys. Kidding. So there's 2 types of motor neurons. Somatic and autonomic. There's 2 types of motor neurons. Somatic and autonomic. And it's coming from motor neurons. So we know motor neurons are what sends impulses from your brain to the rest of your body. Motor neurons send messages, signals, impulses, whatever you want to call it, from your brain to the rest of your body. Knowing if it's somatic or autonomic will tell you where this message is being sent to your body. And if you guys remember, last unit, last marking period, when we learned about the skeletal system and the muscular system, and we learned about stuff like voluntary, involuntary, 3 types of muscle, skeletal, smooth, cardiac. I told you guys that you're going to need that information for this unit. And that just because we're done with those units doesn't mean that you can forget about everything. And so those of you who might not have done that great within those units really might want to fresh up on that kind of stuff, or at least on those notes that I already have on Schoology for you. Because if you aren't as familiar or don't remember, and this might kind of jot your memory, you might start remembering once we talk about it, but it does have to do with the nervous system, and it has to do with somatic and autonomic motor neurons, because certain type of information travel through somatic neurons and certain type of information travel through autonomic neurons. Okay, so voluntary, and we'll see if you guys can remember, impulses or messages travel through these. And involuntary impulses travel through these. Voluntary and involuntary. That's, Let's go back for a moment. There are 3 types of muscle. What's one? One type of muscle, one of the 3. I said it like a couple minutes ago. Go ahead. No. Smooth muscle? Smooth muscle? Do you remember where smooth muscle is? Where can you find smooth muscle in your body? Hey, is this thing on? Zoom friends, are you guys there? I think we lost them, guys. No, guys, seriously. Hello? There's smooth muscle, skeletal, and cardiac. Somebody tell me where in your body can you find smooth muscle? Smooth.
Like your intestines.
Yeah, perfect. Your stomach, for
Yeah.
example. Okay? Forget that. Next one, cardiac muscle. Cardiac. Where can you
Yeah.
find cardiac muscle?
Your heart.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
yes, your heart. Good. Now, those two, smooth and cardiac, do we have control over smooth and cardiac muscle? Do we? We do
No.
not.
No.
Good. And if we remember, another term for not having control is what? Good. Involuntary. That's not how you spell that. All right, just in case we forgot. Here, I put this down here. Okay, I put that down here just in case you guys forgot. So you just told me smooth and cardiac, we don't have control. So which is the only one of those three type of muscle that we do have control? Thank you. Someone else?
Skeletal.
Yes, skeletal. So now that we know this information right here, and I'm gonna highlight it in red because it's old stuff, okay? I told you somatic motor neurons. I told you that voluntary impulses travel through somatic motor neurons. So where from your brain to where do these voluntary impulses go to? Do you guys see what I'm doing? I'm highlighting it. That was skeletal. So these impulses go to skeletal muscle. Bless you. So where do the impulses that run through autonomic motor neurons, where do they go?
Smooth and cardiac.
Yes. I'm going to go over this next class, but it appears to me that we're confused, which is fine because it's the first day. I get it. You should be confused. The problem here is no one's asking any questions and no one's even responding when I'm asking questions. That's the issue. The issue is not that we're confused or we don't get something. The issue is that we're not talking about it and we're not using our words, and we need to speak more and communicate, because otherwise you're all going to be lost. And this is the outline for this unit. And it's very important for you guys to ask me questions because I'm not going to have any idea if you have no questions. Next class, we will finish this. Have a great day.